Okay, we are on cam. Jeff, have you retweeted the show yet?
I did, pal. I retweeted it on my own account.
All right, awesome. It's hey, what's up, Reed? How are you? Good to have you here.
Is this a golf show or something?
Well, hello, Reed.
Yeah, this is this is typically the gorgeous golf gurus of Wednesday, but I mean, Reed's gonna be out a little while. His family decided to grow,
expand.
So he's gonna dedicate some time to the little youngin. Anywho, so yeah, Julian EDLOW. We've asked Julian to give us some of this precious time here, Jeff, because it's a big game tonight. He's one of our basketball gurus, and we got Game 5 Heat Celtics tonight. This has been such a weird ass series, Jules. And then like starting late last night to like all day today, the rumors of Heat players like having COVID. What do you know right now? Like what is the latest in the impact that this is having on like odds and lines here on the DK Sportsbook?
I don't know anything. I just know what we've been able to kind of like, I know what everybody knows, but I think it's important to relay that information to show where we're at and what the potential of this is. So like the last thing I want to do, like it would be very irresponsible to report some of this stuff and move a line on something that's not, that you don't actually believe to be true. So like, I want to be the kind of the middleman of like not blowing up like underground Twitter rumors, but also not necessarily shooting everything down, because the way this game is moving, well, there's something from the Miami side, I think that's a red flag. So let me try and organize my thoughts. Obviously, the reports coming out of 98.5, people at 98.5 in Boston, you know, the sports radio station in Boston and guys that get things right, is that 2 Heat players didn't travel back to Miami due to COVID. They're going to stay here through Game 6. That's been shot down by Miami media saying that 2 staffers have COVID, a broadcaster and a team therapist. Maybe there was a miscommunication somewhere along the way that the 2 staffers were the 2 players, and 2 players are fine. I don't know who's right. I'm not going to pretend that I know who's right. Those people are reporting what they're reporting. What I will say is that the Heat canceling shoot around today is a big deal.
Yeah,
nobody cancels shoot around on Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So what I'll say is that my gut here is that something is wrong, because we've been hearing from Ime Udoka speaking about the series. We've heard about Jason Tatum saying it feels great to make first team All NBA, and we've heard Tatum speaking about this matchup and what this game means. We have not heard anything from the Miami side since like the post game of Game 4 on Monday night. They've disappeared. How can you disappear before Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals? So that sense of it to me, like I've covered the NBA. I've done the reporting stuff covering the NBA. Like you talk to them this morning. There's something goes on this morning. It's not like a random Thursday in December where it's like, yeah, we just had a back-to-back. Like we're not going to come in today. So I think that is the one major red flag that puts some substance to the reporting coming out.
It's the playoffs too, right, Jules? Like it's going radio silent in the playoffs is like twice as weird, right? Like
it's very weird that we have nothing from Miami. So this is also, like you said, it's been a crazy series. It's been, you know,
so weird on the
court,
20-point
wins for Boston, 2 smaller wins for Miami, but you know, decent margin.
And like one without Jimmy Butler, essentially, too.
And the guys going in and out, like the Rob Williams and Smart are genuinely questionable. Now, we did get from Woj, which I think this is real information, and this did move the Celtics from -2.5, -140, up to -3 and -160, is Woj saying that Rob Williams is going to likely to play, give it a go. As long as warm-ups go okay, Rob Williams is going to play. And we've seen the impact Rob Williams can have in 18 to 20 minutes in a game in this series. So I think that's very good. Smart, we'll see. I don't know how he came back on the ankle injury that he came back on as a, you know, as a men's rec league player that has suffered several of those.
Yep,
you don't walk for a month, but I guess professional athletes do. And the swelling, obviously, 2 days later, I don't know how you play, but maybe he'll be back today. Maybe it'll be Friday. Maybe if you get Rob Williams, you feel more comfortable leaving him till Friday, and then you get the, you know, almost a week of rest. But Hero is genuinely questionable. Lowry's genuinely questionable. That's weird for a game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So prior to the COVID news, there's a lot of moving pieces here that make the storylines for this game extremely intriguing. But
so as of right now, like 3 hours before tip, like how would you bet this game? Like, what's your approach to it here?
So we got the Al Horford COVID news for game 1 like 2.5 hours before tip. So this, to me, the window here is like the 2.5 to an hour and a half before tip when we learn this stuff.
It was different with Horford though, because there were like multiple outlets who were kind of reporting like at the time, right? With Horford, right now it seems like it's just
that was confirmed. That was like confirmed, and he was at shoot around that morning, and it was like completely blindsided the Celtics. This more feels like Miami keeping everything under wraps and trying to do damage control. And maybe it's nothing. Like it could genuinely turn out to be nothing.
Here's the question: has this line already been affected by this news?
So, yes, I would say it went from like 1.5 to 2.5 on this news. I would say.
Okay.
So I would say this news is counting for a point. The move from like a near pick up to the 1.5 happened before this came out,
right? And
then the move from 2.5 to 3 happened when Woj put the Rob Williams info out. So I think it's that middle gap.
Yeah.
Of
it's like, but if we got actual news, like there's actual COVID outages, it would probably move again, right?
Oh, it'll fly.
Yeah.
Especially if it's the players that some of the people reporting this are. So it was kept under wraps for a while. Yeah. But I know they just said it on the radio in Boston, so I'll say it. Is that they're hearing that it's Bam Adebayo that is one of these players that is affected somehow by COVID.
Okay. Which he's been a beast in like one game in this series, essentially. Like it was game 3, right? Where he had to like put the team on his back with Jimmy Butler out.
And Rob Williams didn't play.
Yes.
So that factors in as well. One thing behind all of this that we have so many like storylines and Twitter rumors going on that makes this game so intriguing. It kind of leaves on the back burner that Jimmy Butler's hurt.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler's playing hurt. And he's the guy that dominated game 1 with 40 whatever points in the near triple double. He gets hurt in game 3, doesn't come back in the second half, plays the game 4 and has 6 points.
He was terrible.
I was at game 4. He was not moving well. He was not getting off the ground. Like he looked bad. So I think a storyline that should be getting more attention that isn't is that Jimmy Butler is playing pretty hurt right now. And that's why the Celtics are like, what are they, minus 200 now for the series or more?
So
200, like it's moved quite a bit.
So is there like as of right now, or as news stands, are there any props that you like then? Like any player props, either Celtics or even Heat side, say like if Bam happens to be out and Jimmy's banged up?
Yeah, there's so many moving pieces. I think we have to see, and then it might come a little more into fruition. But Lowry and Hero are questionable with actual injuries, so that opens up backcourt minutes. So let's go to the player props.
Okay.
So on the Miami side here, if both of those guys were to be out, you could look at like an Oladipo over, which is inflated. He wasn't in the rotation to start the series. It was 12.5 earlier in the day. It's down to 11.5. I agree with that move. That's too high if Miami were full strength, but you can't touch it because there's so many unknowns right now. The Boston side is hard to touch because it sounds like we're going to get Rob, and Marcus Smart is already on the board. So he's, whether he plays or not, and I think he's genuinely questionable, he's already accounted for. So I don't think it's a player prop game, honestly, as much as I do think it's a Celtics game.
You look to the alternate lines, maybe?
Yeah, right.
Like take Celtics like 5.5 at plus 135.
Exactly. So they've been these blowouts, and just lay the 3. You don't need to get too risky. Lay the 3 as your main bet with the Celtics or whatever. I think I put out money line in my best bets article today. It's moved too much, probably. You got to lay it. Mm-hmm. But then as you start looking and we start maybe getting some confirmation on the Miami side, we'll see. That's when you maybe quickly put the sprinkles on this to be just more and more margin for the Celtics.
Damn, dude, this feels like it would be absolutely over if those two are out tonight, and then you come back to Boston, and Boston has that 3-2 lead.
The Celtics do weird things, like that Game 5 loss to Milwaukee where they had it and they just completely barfed on themselves. Maybe they learn from that so it doesn't happen again and they take this opportunity to close out. I hope that they would if they have the opportunity. But we'll see. I don't know. It's probably going to be a weird ending to this series. I keep checking my phone because something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just think the main message to get across if you're betting the game and you don't have to listen to any rumors or anything is just the Heat not showing themselves in like a couple days now is like bizarre, weird. They're just invisible in the middle of the Eastern Conference Finals. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, Pat Riley there, man. Runs a tight ship, huh?
I don't know. Something is off.
Because all of a sudden
being cautious because staffers had it and like they want to keep everybody isolated to avoid spread. Like it could be as simple as that, but that seems a little light. I don't know.
It's weird too because weren't the reports were that they like the original reports were that they like stayed back. So are you like, what are you showing symptoms like after the game and then they want you just to like hang back? Are they testing after the game? Like the NBA's been so weird.
I'm not going to speak to the NBA's rules because I have no idea and I have no idea what the Heat did. But it like the report from Boston is that it was two players that stayed back. Maybe they got the report wrong and it was two staffers, but in the meantime, since getting back to Miami, something has changed, which would be a miss in the report, but the right idea that still led to something. Like, I don't know. We're kind of in uncharted territory here. And I don't know. It's exciting. Like, can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to add before you skedaddle? Seriously, I appreciate you coming on and kind of making all this like simple and at least easier to understand, get us caught up on everything.
I think the strangeness of the Heat canceling the shoot around is the main thing that you need to consider. That you can, like, if you like the Heat in this game, I won't even tell you not to bet them. Just don't do it until they're like walking out onto the floor for tip off and you see who's there. Yeah. If you like the Heat, take them, but you're going to want to wait.
Okay. Yeah. Currently Miami 3-point dog at home, totals 204. So would you take the under on that? I think this is the lowest the total's been, right?
It is
in this series.
No, it is. It went easily over in the first three games before game 4. So I would, as a bettor, and I'm not betting it, but I would just say, there's some value on the over there.
Okay.
Because it's so low and because the series has been going over, it's just that clunker of a game 4 has put it here. But then again, I couldn't tell you to bet the total before we even know who's in and out. Mm-hmm. So like, this is just snowballing into this whole mystery where we're going to find out and then you get your bets in.
Yep. And I guess proceed with caution here on the DFS side as well if you're in that showdown contest, because like two players rumored.
At least there you're not going to miss any. And in all honesty, I haven't put a ton of effort into the showdown slate tonight, but at least there you're not going to like, if we get news, you're going to like miss lines if you're not quick and things are going to drastically move and the player prop board is all going to come down. The slate's going to be sitting there for you to just, put in right before tip off and do what you want with.
All right. So we'll just tell everyone to follow you for all your fun tweets about this. Also like your tweets about like whatever beverage you're having. And also you on your new riding lawnmower.
Oh yeah, man. Congrats on the riding lawnmower.
I put the speed up way too high the first time. People were like, I was having a blast. They were like, dude, you're flying. I'm like, I don't ride on lawnmowers. They're like, yeah, you gotta.
Julian getting a ticket on his front lawn.
Dude, he texted me a video like the other day of it, and I'm just like, actually, I have so much more respect for you. Like, you look like a real man out there, like a bevy and on riding a lawnmower.
It's got a cup holder too, so I can have my drinks that I tweet about while you do your ride on lawnmower. Because if you get a ride on lawnmower, what are you not going to drink while you do it? So like,
I think you have to. I actually think it's the law that you have to drink if you have a riding lawnmower. So maybe I could come over soon and we'll take a spin.
Yeah, there's always room for you on the back of that thing.
Great, awesome. Thanks, man. And hey, if we end up at a game together again, maybe we should meet up.
Yeah,
I can't believe you were at the game Monday night and didn't answer my phone call.
Pretty rude of you not to text me while you're sitting, feet away from me.
That's what he does.
No,
live
that's
like 20
not.
minutes apart. He never invites me over.
Oh, screw that. Yeah. I tried to call him on Monday night, let him know I was there, and he didn't answer my phone call. Yes, I did. Anywho, you have to go. So just you have to
your
go.
phone up with the call to me.
My phone just died, dude. So weird.
Okay. All right. Enjoy the golf talk.
All right. I love you. We're gonna do some hockey too. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. I have a question for Jeff before I go.
Yeah. Go.
Okay. So I want to use the Warriors as a money line parlay piece tomorrow. And I was curious if the Colorado Avalanche tonight are a good money line parlay piece, because St. Louis has the goalie hurt, right? And Colorado's really good.
Yeah, Bennington.
And they're at home. Are they going to win? It can be it's not a regulation winner or anything, just the straight up money line.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the most pushback I've gotten.
The Blues are a pretty good team. Like, I don't want to like I'm not. I think the line is fairly accurate. The Blues do have like their backup goalie was basically as good as their starter, so you basically have to think that like the Blues are just dead in the water here. But I don't think the line is outlandish. Like Colorado should be heavy favorites at home. I'm not gonna say that like it's a guaranteed win, but like I wouldn't like hesitate to go with Colorado there or anything like that. It's so just I have a little bit of respect for the Blues, and I don't necessarily want to like write them off yet, but it's like Colorado's gonna win the series. So
there's no way Colorado wants to get on a plane for Game 6 right now.
No, it's a pretty good bet for a parlay like that. Like it's fair.
Priced correctly is fair enough because they're in the same spot as the Warriors to close it out in a Game 5 at home, where you don't want to keep extending these things.
I actually almost feel like Colorado could be closer to minus 300. If I'm being dead honest, they were minus 300 to win the series, and now it's like a closeout game at home. So take that from what you will. I don't know.
All right, Avalanche Warriors money line parlay. It's going out on Twitter in a minute. I'll get it out here first.
Let's go.
Yep. Thanks, dude.
Boom.
Love you, man.
Boom,
see you later.
Okay. It was nice talking to you. Bye.
Yeah, dude. Text me. Okay.
All right.
Ulrich, dude, can I, since we're on the topic of hockey here.
Yeah, I might as well hit that first.
Yeah, for sure. Are the Hurricanes ever going to win a game on the road? Like I was talking to Paul about this morning. Yeah, I was talking to Paul about it this morning, and they don't necessarily have to in this series against the Rangers because they have home ice advantage here. But this is just so freaking bizarre that they can't win on the road.
I think that it kind of speaks to the limitations of their team a little bit. And it's not like they're a bad team. It's just, I mean, like they maybe just, they aren't as dominant. They aren't as clutch as like the Lightning necessarily. They don't have like a Nikita Kucherov or a Stamkos. They have good players. Like I think Svechnikov is going to be very good for a while. I mean, Aho's good, but they're not quite at that level. And then, they still have a backup goalie and Ranta playing. Their defense, they don't have like a Hedman stud to kind of just make those clutch plays for them. So I think that's kind of who they are. That's why I still like the Rangers in the series. I've been saying ever since the Rangers lost Game 1, bet the Rangers in the series. And now it's 2-2. You still bet the Rangers in the series. They have the best player in the series. It's Igor Shesterkin, by the way. Like I'm very still bullish. I won't be shocked if the Rangers just like win this one and then win it in Game 6. Okay. It's nothing against the Hurricanes. I just think that the Rangers are they're just like a well-built team for the playoffs right now. And whenever you have the best goalie in the series, it's an advantage. They got those young guys in line 3. So that was my favorite play last night. Probably going to bet them again tomorrow because they're just not, that's the other thing. Like for betting, the Rangers haven't gotten any respect in this series. They were even last night at home to win that game. It wasn't even close. And now they're plus 135 on the road. So keep taking what's being given to you with the Rangers, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're plus 125 for the series right now. If people still wanted some plus money on that.
Yep.
And then so for tonight, kind of going off a little bit of what Jules was just saying. So the Avalanche can close this thing out, dude. Paul this morning seemed to think like the Blues aren't dead yet, and actually like the Blues tonight.
Well, this gets to my point. Like the Blues are a good team. Like this isn't like a David versus Goliath situation. Yes, the Colorado Avalanche are like the best team in the league, and there's a reason that they're plus 135 to win the Stanley Cup. Although a big part of that is just a lot of people bet the Colorado Avalanche. But the Blues down the stretch were like, they were on a roll. I mean, their offense was clicking. They've hit. I just feel like like this is why I was very hesitant to just say, yeah, like you should just take the Avalanche. This is going to get closed out because like the Blues are a good team, but I'm just not sure. I'm probably just going to stay away from the money line on this game, which is, you can probably hear in my voice that's what I want to do, because I just still think that the Blues are too good and to necessarily write off. But like the Avalanche at game 5 here, they dropped the first game and now they're just kind of, like you said, there's absolutely zero desire to want to go back to St. Louis here. So Colorado just been lights out at home, dominant 5-on-5. And that's the big thing. Like if Colorado stays out of the box tonight, I mean, this one probably will be over. So
because games 3 and 4 were telling, dude. Like the Avalanche just ran all over St. Louis. So like the Blues, in my opinion, would be wise to have like this physical game plan. But the issue is if they get too physical, they run the risk of having to fight off Colorado's power play, which you're talking about their 5-on-5 scoring. I mean, their power play here is converting at a 33.3% clip, that's pretty damn good.
And that's the thing, like that's the one area where St. Louis can kind of match them because I mean, they have a very good power play of their own, but like you said, I mean, obviously Colorado can just win this game in more ways. Let's put it that way. Colorado can win a shootout where, like the special teams go off. Colorado can, like they probably have the better goaltender right now. So there's just so many ways for the Avalanche to win. And I mentioned like the series price to begin the series. And now we're at like an elimination game and you're basically getting the same price. Like it doesn't feel mispriced to me. I know that the Blues look big at plus 215, but I just don't want to bet against the Avalanche here. Like, I mean, I didn't want to bet against them in the first round. I don't know really why I'd start doing that now. I'd much rather look at the player props in this one. Whenever you've got Colorado going, I like looking at the saves for the goalie on the other side. Husso's saves to go over. I think Colorado at home again, like I can't remember what they averaged, but it was pretty sick.
Yeah, they're going to come out blazing, dude. Like, don't be surprised if they score first and just the floodgates open.
Yeah, minus 125 for Billy Husso to go over 31.5 saves. And again, like there's really no backup here. So, Husso's probably staying in, even if it allows a couple early ones. And he's a pretty good goalie. Like, I mean, again, even if he lets in like 4 goals, you could easily go over that. So I don't hate looking at that. But the other thing you can do is, and I like St. Louis for player props too a lot. They have a really deep forward core. A lot of their players kind of down the lineup. Like you can look at a guy like Bukovic, Pavel Bukovic, like over 2.5 shots on goal, plus 135. I mean, this is a guy who averaged like well over 3 shots on goal in the regular season. And it's an elimination game for St. Louis too. So expect them to just be throwing a few more shots there. I think that you should be looking at some of St. Louis's forwards for shots on goal prop. Again, getting really nice prices like Tarasenko over 2.5 shots, minus 120. I mean, that's a really good price for Tarasenko. So looking at St. Louis, like at the player prop department, is probably where I'd rather go than necessarily betting the game line here.
Okay, well, the Avs at home and obviously ready to please fans who haven't seen them advance to the conference finals in 2 decades there. But speaking of a bunch of guys who are at home, there are a bunch of Texans, man, a bunch of Texans on the PGA Tour who are playing the last stop of the season in the Lone Star State, dude. So let's go to golf here. We're wrapped up the show here with about 20 minutes of some golf talk. I'm looking at DFS. We talked about this morning with Len. These are some big names. I love weeks after majors, Jeff, where you actually have tournaments with some of the big dogs like in the field. Like it just keeps me like glued to my television. Scheffler, Thomas, Morikawa, Speed, Zalatoris after his overtime loss last week, the PJ, Hovland, all those guys, at least DFS terms right now, DFS terms, 6 dudes are going to cost you at least like 10 grand. And I remember this morning you were talking about you're kind of steering clear of Scheffler. Maybe you said it today or yesterday, world number 1. Yeah,
I'm just going to share my screen here quickly so we can get this up, by the way. I like Scheffler to me is a guy, and apologies to our producers, I completely forgot about that. But Scheffler's to me, it's very similar to don't smirk. It's very similar to last week, the pricing. It's just like Scheffler was the highest guy. And then you had a player last week in Justin Thomas who's like $700 cheaper, was coming in playing just as good golf. Like you looked at the Byron Nelson, Thomas actually, played better than Scheffler. And now you've got a guy in Jordan Spieth at 10-4 who's striking the ball. He's actually striking the ball better than pretty much anyone on earth right now. Absolutely dominates his course. And he's $800 cheaper than Scotty Scheffler. Like, and like, you know, Thomas, again, you know, you could definitely make a case just to go back to Thomas at 11, but the major championship hangover thing. I mean, I know it's a narrative, but like, it's one I'm certainly going to respect. I'm shocked that he's still in the field. But
yeah,
you know,
I was too. I can't imagine when's the last time a major winner played the following week? I wonder what that number is. I can't remember.
It's certainly happened. I know Spieth, after he won the Masters in 2015, played Hilton Head, but like he started slow. He kind of scraped by the cut. He had like an okay week, but you just like, I think the bigger question is like, when has a guy won a major and then got in contention again the next week? Like, okay. That's just like, I mean, I can't think of any circumstance where that's happened. So again, I'm fine buying into that narrative. Spieth to me is like, you know, it's like kind of like looking like Thomas was last week. You just play him. Everyone likes him. So what? You can still play some of these other guys at 10K. If you like Morikawa too, play him with Spieth. Like there's plenty of value down the board this week. It's actually a pretty deep field. So yeah, because I think your other choice is for making DFS lineups. You know, you try and fade Spieth, and that could work out. Like if he doesn't get the win, you could certainly see a balanced lineup. But, you know, we've got down here like guys. Sam Burns is a high end player. You know, Finau's in the field if you find some putts this week. I love Abe Answer. You could start with 2 or 3 of these guys. I even made a case like you just go Sung Jae, who's going to be low owned, Answer, and Finau. Your dogs love this idea, by the way. And then you know you're still left with like $7,500. So. She loves it. She's like, yeah, Jeff's so brilliant. I love it when Jeff's on, man.
I know. Oh, she's just pretending to not mute right now. Which kind of pisses me off a little bit. Because as we talked about on the sweat. Okay, Win. I love you, babe. Like we talked about on the sweat this morning. Like this is a different course than kind of what we saw last week. Like last week, those fairways about 40 yards wide. Like it's a little more claustrophobic off the tee here. And I bring that up is you have some guys who will stray away from the driver a little bit, which kind of evens the playing field as well. Like we tend to see like, you know, I guess more parity among a lot of these guys.
Yeah. I mean, it just like the course takes driver out of your hand. Like it basically forces you to not take driver on a lot of holes. You can still get aggressive in spots. And, you know, I mean, Kokrak won here last year. I mean, he absolutely mashed it off the tee in certain spots. It certainly gave him an advantage, but you know, he also picked up 5 strokes putting, right? And 5 strokes on approach. So when you have list of winners like Kevin Na and Kevin Gisner, and I always say this, off the tee, it's not that big a deal. Obviously you want someone who can like keep it in the fairway, but you know, I know when Jordan Spieth won here too, like he didn't exactly have a greatest week off the tee. So it's just a course that de-emphasizes power. And just, you know, as you get closer to the hole, the better your game is, the sharper it is, you know, the better you're going to do on this course. So
like, I forget what Nas number is. I don't know if it was like it was around plus 5,000, I think at one point, but he's a good example. I'm glad you brought him up because like, he's a guy who loves playing here because it fits his game perfectly. It fits a game that's anchored by accuracy and putting. So you can't really have an off putting week, like at a place like this.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if you want your player to, I'm getting all these Celtics props off my list here that I was bringing up. I'm gonna bet all the Celtics props. I'm totally blaming Julian if they lose too. But yeah, you know, like if your player is going to get in contention this week, like he's going to have a spike putting week. It doesn't mean that like every player you roster has to be like a high end putter or something. I mean, it's just the winners here, the guys who generally take home whatever they give away here. I can't even remember if it's like a jacket or something or whatever, but I think it's the winner gets. The jacket is at Hilton Head, I think.
Yeah, that's the red one, right? The plaid one.
That's the plaid one. Yeah. I can't. Do they give away a jacket here too? I don't know,
dude. I don't know, man. I don't know. Where's Reed? Reed, we need an adult.
It's something that is something Reed would know for sure. I guarantee he knows it. It's probably at home.
Yeah, it is. And there I could read this article here. The history of the plaid jacket, Charles Schwab. The tournament dates back to World War II, but the plaid jacket tradition began in 1952.
There's a plaid jacket here and there's like a tartan jacket at Hilton Head. So anyways, lots of jackets. Mm-hmm. Kevin Na is a good example. Yeah. A guy who just, he's not even accurate off the tee. Like he's not long, he's not accurate, but you know, he can get hot with his irons and obviously gain 8 strokes putting. Even Kokrak last year, like I said, he's turned into like one of the high end putters on tour. So, you know, when you're betting outrights, I would take that more into consideration for outrights than necessarily for DFS, because like if you think your player just doesn't have it in them to like Will Zalatoris is a great example. Okay. Will Zalatoris gained like 4 strokes putting last week. He's probably like it's an outlier week for him. It's a big outlier week.
He's pissed, bro. He's pissed. He wants that first win.
He does, but like you're asking Will Zalatoris now to gain more strokes to win this week, because that's probably what he's going to have to do. It's just probably not the spot, right? So I don't know. Anyways, good dichotomy of players right there with non-Zalatoris. But yeah, this event is, I like this one because it does tend to bring a lot of different players in, and you know, you can just hit this range up in this, like starting here with like AVALANCHE. You can even start with like Kevin Na if you like him, but Kevin Na plus 3,500. I'd rather bet these players like, you know, Chris Kirk or Woodland than Na at that number. So that's kind of the way I think you should be approaching this this week, trying to hit up multiple players in this range.
Okay, yeah, you were pushing Webb. Was that you pushing Webb Simpson this morning, or was that Len? Because I totally
the 8K range,
yeah, and I totally forgot that it was a quiet T20 for him at Southern Hills, and he also shot that 3rd round 65. That was brilliant. I totally forgot about that until I was looking up some information about some of these guys earlier today.
Yeah, it's like the most nondescript like T20 from Webb Simpson.
Yeah.
He was kind of up there for a bit. You're like, oh, is Webb actually going to get like up there? But I think the thing for Webb is, and I'll just bring up his player card. Like this is super encouraging, right? I mean, you saw early in the season, like, well, that's going back to like the fall, but obviously, you know, missed a bunch of events after the Sony Open. T35 at the Masters was okay. Really didn't play well the next 2 weeks, but you know, his best result in a while and clearly looking healthy. When Webb Simpson can put up like a top 20 on a longer course and gain a bunch of strokes, like across the board, you know, like putting around the greens and end on approach, that's a really good sign that like this guy is ready to play a course like Colonial, where, you know, the best parts of his game are going to come through. So I'm not necessarily like making Webb my pick to win, but I do like him like as a safe top 20 bet at plus 160. I just feel it's so safe with Webb. And I mean, obviously nothing is a lock here, but like it's a good price on Webb Simpson at this course to top 20, in my opinion, plus 160. You know, dominates these technical tracks, and he hasn't played Colonial as much as some of the other shorter tracks, but you know, he's got 2 top 20s in 4 career appearances. It's like 2 top 10s in 4 career appearances. So, you know,
I've seen Maverick McNeely's name thrown around for a top 20 as well. I don't know what the number was. Maybe it was around like plus 250 over in the DK Sportsbook, because like you just mentioned the short course, like he's played well at places in the past, like a Pebble Beach and Harbor Town, like so far in his career there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate it. He's made like 14 cuts in a row or something sick like that. Damn. Like he's turned into a fairly consistent player. He had his last couple times out, he hasn't played that well. Struggled over the weekend last week. At the same time, like I'm not overly concerned about it. You worry maybe he's going through a little bit of burnout here and maybe needs a week off or something, because he's played quite a few tournaments. Like he may be actually leading the tour in terms of like tournaments played here. But he's also a young guy, and we've seen a lot of people like go to the PGA the last couple of years and then come to Colonial the week after. It's an easier course and they just bounce back really quickly. Kokrak actually did it last year. He was like T50 at the PGA and then he won the next week. So Maverick at plus 250, it feels fine. And I kind of look at that range too. You might want to think about going down to Kirk instead of plus 200, but I don't know. I mean, if I'm betting someone at plus 250 for a top 20, it's probably either Hoagie or McNeely. I actually might even feel better with Hoagie. Yeah. He's got a bad course history.
I like that.
He's got a bad course history, Tom Hoagie, but it's all like Tom Hoagie is way better this year. Like he's just a better player this year. So I wouldn't read too much into it. This should be a good track for him too. So I mean, a couple guys there at plus 250 you could think about.
Yeah, Kirk is probably going to be a popular play this week. I would assume at DFS and even betting, just for the fact past champion here. Okay, wow, he's gained shots on approach in 9 consecutive tournaments and leads the pack in avoiding double bogeys.
Yeah, just like doing pretty much everything well. He's picked up some distance off the tee this year too, Chris Kirk. I mean, like, again, another player, like I talked about this with Woodland, like let's not forget, going back to Bay Hill. I mean, you know, Chris Kirk was 5th. He was kind of in contention at the Haunted Classic too, but like there at Bay Hill, I mean, he had the lead at one point on like with like 4 holes to go.
Until Scheffler.
Well, I mean, and Kirk and Woodland kind of blew it like too. Like that's the other thing. But I mean, regardless, he's playing well. He's playing well enough to win. It was kind of in contention last week. You worry again, maybe coming off like such a high finish at a major, but he's going to be popular for DFS at 7,900. This whole range is going to be popular with Varner, who's got great course history. Kirk, Harmon's got great course history. So does Rose. Like, you've got 5 players there. I mean,
yeah,
like I mean, I like Woodland. It's funny. I actually like Woodland the most out of them, but I think he's going to actually be the lowest owned.
Look at this lineup you put together of all these like
it's
guys
crazy,
in the
right?
sevens,
I mean,
dude.
I feel like some people are just going to do that and then just go up and be like, yeah, I'll just throw like Morikawa in or something. Like,
yeah, grab like one big dog.
Yeah.
Like, is there gas in the tank, left in the tank for Justin Thomas here?
I mean,
it's tough.
Again, like it just comes back to like, I think Justin Thomas is actually going to be fairly heavily rostered this week, which is because he's not the most expensive player on the board, right? So
yeah, because I knew he was a top 10 machine looking for that first victory. Since the Players, like the previous year, he was overdue for one. He got it at Southern Hills. So I wonder if anything changes for him now.
I mean, he's a player who's won twice in a row before. Like when he gets into form, he can just like blow the doors off. So, you know, I remember that year in Hawaii where he kind of broke through for a win at the Tournament of Champions. And then the next week, it was like on supercharge. You could see something similar here. This dude's gone over a year without a win. He's super confident. How could you not be confident after coming back from 7 strokes down on Sunday to win? And just like the way he won. So I don't know, man, you could be right. Like this could just be like Justin Thomas comes in like, hey, I'm feeling it, boys. Like, see ya. You know, have fun at the next event where I finally take a week off. You could certainly see it. Like I said, I'll probably just play the history that we just don't see that happen very often. And we've almost never seen a guy like come and play and like kind of win after a major. But honestly, if there's anyone on tour I'd probably pick to do it, it would be Justin Thomas. So
yeah, I didn't realize like Morikawa hasn't won since, was it the Open last summer?
Yes.
But he's got all right, let's see. This is a place he's finished 2nd and 14th in 2 starts. So maybe this is an ideal venue for him to end this drought.
Yeah, I mean, look, Colin Morikawa is another player. Like, he's not going to go that much longer without a win. I just not sure if like that. We haven't quite seen that high end ball striking from him. I don't think he's quite there, like to the point where we knew it was coming with JT like so soon. I just not sure if it's quite there with Morikawa. I actually almost feel better about rostering Hovland this week. He took a lot of time off after the Masters, and he was pretty good last week. Like he really didn't like he gained a couple strokes kind of everywhere, and he's been pretty good on these technical tracks. If I was playing, like I'm not going to bet either of these guys. Hovland's got a way better number, but I would actually play Hovland over Morikawa this week. I think both of them are kind of like top 20 candidates. And again, I think Spieth, and actually I've almost like talked myself into Thomas. I think Spieth and Thomas are better plays than Morikawa and Hovland. But if you're going to play like one of them with, like say you're starting lineups with Spieth, I would actually pair him with Hovland over Morikawa. It's cheaper. And I feel like both guys are kind of in similar spots. With Hovland actually played better than Morikawa last week. So why not take the discount?
Dude, a question I wanted to ask you earlier this week, and I'll just do it now since we're hanging out, we're together, is Tiger withdrawing from the final round at the PGA. Like that can't bode well for his chances of teeing it up here in our backyard, DraftKings headquarters in just a few weeks in Brookline. What's like your gut telling you there?
I don't know. Yeah. It's telling me he's not quite ready. It's like,
Yep. Because you've
I
said
would
from the
love-
get-go, like St. Andrews is definitely on his mind. That you've been pushing, like that's where you want to bet him. It's
Yeah,
an easy
I'm
course
even like a
to
little
get
bit.
around.
I even have trepidation about that. I really want to
Wow.
see him play in St. Andrews. Like, I hope he just makes the start list at this point. I mean, the USO, he has no chance at the US Open. Like, I'm sorry, but like the US Open setups these days, even when he was healthy, like I'm not sure if he had a shot anymore, just because of the way they set the courses up. So he should absolutely cross the US Open off his list, and he should keep getting stronger, and he should go play the Open, which, you know, the Opens are a little bit quirky, but they're not like hilly generally at all. He'll probably be fine there. And then, you know, hopefully 2023, maybe we'll get a full season of Tiger or something. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely, it sucks because we got all the positive Tiger talk, and he always talks about himself, like, because he feels like he's a superhero and he can do anything, but it's getting stronger. And we're like, okay, here we go. Like, he's going to look even better. And then it was like, oh yeah, his leg is like giving out, and it's like, dude having trouble walking. So I don't really want to see that again. I'd rather he just like chill out for a month and then go to the Open. That's what he should do. He shouldn't play the US Open. I mean, if I was Tiger's manager, I'd be like, you're not going to, like, I'm sorry, I know you're Tiger Woods, but you're not going to win. So
plus 5,000 for the US Open right now. And it's still plus 4,000 for the Open. Yeah. Do you think would he have been on the leaderboard had he taken a cart instead of walking? Do you think he would have been on the leaderboard? John Daly said he believes that Tiger would have been on first page of the leaderboard if he decided to take a cart, but I mean, probably that's not the Tiger mindset.
No, I mean, it would help him for sure. I mean, I don't know about the first page of the leaderboard or whatever, but he would definitely, I mean, it would be a massive assist. Yeah, for sure. For a guy who's, you know, everything looks fine with him. It's like he said, it's just the walking and the fatigue Like, hopefully that comes and he gets some of that strength back, but it's clearly hindering him. Yeah. So, I mean, a cart, I could definitely have seen that helping him like a lot.
I just feel like if I'm him, if I want to last longer and actually compete in some of these tournaments, I'm going to get like the most pimped out cart with like a Tiger print on it. Like, I don't know. And I would just have that at every tournament with me. And he said he's never going to play a full schedule game. He's probably like 8-9 tournaments, maybe a year. That'd be sick, dude.
Yeah. I mean, if he played 8 tournaments a year, that'd be a huge win for professional golf. Like 4 majors, the players, you know, throw a couple WGCs or something in there. I don't know, but like, you know, he'd probably play the Farmers or something. But yeah, I mean, look, I'll create a schedule for Tiger.
Yeah, right.
The Canadian Open. I mean, you know, whatever. But
well, yeah, I appreciate you answering that. And then before you get out, just what's your best bet overall for this week for Charles Schwab that tees off tomorrow? Hook me up with that, and then we got to go.
I mean, I really like Gary Woodland this week. And it's not necessarily like, I think if you're going to play Woodland, let's say Gary Woodland top 10 plus 400.
Okay.
Obviously bet him outright too, because if he wins, you know, you're going to want a piece of that. But Gary Woodland, I think is really going to show up this week. He's playing really consistent. The irons are there. If he keeps hitting the ball like he did last week and just improves those a bit, he'll be there. A top 10 Gary Woodland.
Yeah. And like we mentioned on the show, on the sweat, like that fade, baby. That can work nice. That can work nicely around Colonial.
Butter cuts off the tee, like 4 feet off the ground.
Yep.
Running like 280. On repeat.
Clean up on the aisle. You know what I mean? All right. We got to go. Love you. Thanks, AC behind the scenes and producer Eamon. Appreciate you guys. And shout out to Julian EDLOW. Took time out of his really, really busy schedule, his lawn mowing schedule to join us. So, all right, we're on the sweat tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time. We'll see all you guys and gals then. Peace.